Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Welcome to another edition of Tell Al. This is an opportunity for you to hear from somebody who's not me, who's going to tell you about their experience with real estate investing. Now, this particular person just happens to be a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, right? So, yeah, it would make sense that I bring some of our members on from time to time to impart their wisdom on you. And the reason we do this is because we're sharing information with you that is never talked about. It's not talked about at the water cooler. It's not talked about in the normal things that you do as you go through the stages of your daily life. People don't just have a discussion on investing in real estate because most people, you probably included, are focused on the here and now. You're focused on the responsibilities that you have on a daily basis. You're probably working really hard because that's what we do in this country. We work hard at our jobs. We're good at what we do. And like everything else, we are following a path that somebody laid in front of us. The problem with the path that's been laid in front of us is that it's flawed. It's really designed more to create, I'll just say it, to create employees who provide services for companies who in turn pay them a wage, and we become those employees and we just kind of go through the motions, and then our days are just kind of consumed, right? And then the next thing you know, we get to a point in our life, maybe we've moved up the corporate ladder, maybe we haven't. It really doesn't matter. We get to a point in our life and we go, you know what? I don't think what I'm doing is working. Well, my guest today, he's had that epiphany. See, this guy is a very smart gentleman. He had a career in IT. Now, you know for a fact, regardless of what he does in IT, you have to be pretty smart to do that type of work. And he was very good at it. I mean, he started off as an analyst. He built up his career. He became a director. He was moving up that corporate ladder. And he got to a certain point where he realized that maybe not everything was focused in the direction he wanted to go in. There were other options that he needed to consider. So he did. And he became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. And he took his time to learn how to invest correctly in real estate. And he started buying back his life, one piece of real estate at a time, until he regained control of his life. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to welcome Kelly onto the show. Kelly, how are you doing today?
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me to your show.
Well, I appreciate having you on the show, to be honest with you, even though I can't talk very clearly today because it's Tuesday. If something happens to my mouth on Tuesday, I just can't enunciate. But we'll get past that. Tell me a little bit about your background, Kelly. I mean, did you do kind of what most of us do? You went to school, got good grades, got into college, got good grades, got into the workforce. Did I get that part of your background correct?
Yeah, you did. I mean, I think that, we can basically probably say, 50% of people there in the United States, yeah, that's what our beliefs are, at least, right? We come out seeing what we think is success, and that is do well in school, get a college degree, hopefully not get saddled with all that debt, right? And then from there, go to a great company and work your way up the ladder, and then you'll take care of the company, and the company takes care of you. And that was a belief that I have that was just shattered after a few layoffs. But it was a belief that I started with, and it took quite a while for me to break that down, that belief, and then realize what I was doing wrong.
So you lived through a couple of layoffs. What was that like for you personally and financially?
Well, I'm overall, I like economics, and I'm kind of I was a business person kind of anyway. It's just that I wasn't working in or on my own business. But as doing budgets, directing resources, and running departments, you do realize, there is times when a business grows from you, you grow from the business, vice versa, and you think that okay, well, maybe it really wasn't really them or me, maybe it was just the time, and then you go along. But when it does happen to you, it is kind of weird. The way I can kind of explain it is that you kind of basically walk up a ladder, and there's not much underneath you, and when you fall off that ladder, you got to go right back up that ladder. You just don't go, to your next job and you're all the way at the top again. So that was a realization that as I got up that ladder, it got more risky for me. The more money you make, the longer you're in position, the older you get, the more risk there is. And that's something I didn't realize when I was younger in the IT field.
Did you find that people have a tendency to get a little more cutthroat the higher up that food chain they move?
Yes, but that's just a scarcity mentality. It's not the abundant mentality. It's interesting that you mentioned that. Going to Lifestyles meetings when I first started joining Lifestyles in 2013, and you would go to meetings, and then you would see deals, and they would give you all the information, and it was like so different. But
yeah,
basically it was abundant mentality that was coming through rather than scarcity mentality. And
everybody wants to share with you the good news of what they've discovered. Hey, do me a favor, Kelly, stick around because we're going to break. I've got a lot of questions for you.
We're back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're here to answer your questions and help you become financially free.
Back to the show. Hey, my guest, Kelly, he lives up in northern Texas. He lives kind of in that giant area like the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. So he's one of our members from northern Texas, and he became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited back in 2013. Kelly was looking for a different option. I mean, he had been on the corporate roller coaster multiple times. I mean, he'd moved up the ladder and then get laid off, and then have to start again on that ladder and work his way up that ladder and get laid off. And that it's just like this vicious cycle he was going through. And at a certain point, he was done with it. He started looking for a different way to pattern his life, whether it was focused on retirement, whether it was focused on income. He was getting tired of the roller coaster. So, Kelly, when you found Lifestyles Unlimited and you went through the educational program, what were some of your epiphanies? I mean, what are some of the things that just like wrapped your head around the concept and made you just go, wow, why didn't somebody tell me this before?
The interesting thing is that I had, found out about Lifestyles, and it was from the radio show, which is quite interesting that I'm on a radio show. So I can kind of, take and maybe the, stock market isn't obviously the best thing to retire on. And the other thing was I wanted to be able to take, and that risk to my salary that I have finally kind of realized was there, basically from a layoff, was that I'll start replacing some of my salary with some passive income that Steve from Lifestyles is talking about. So I joined Lifestyles, and the epiphany was apartment buildings. I had never in my world thought that I could invest into an apartment building or into like a little private business like that, and be able to get distributions. That was just new to my world. I actually came in to the training thinking that I would be able to learn how to do single family properly and just buy a bunch of single family and have the cash flow from those.
But you chose multifamily over single family. Why did you decide to go in that direction? What was it about the multifamily investing that made more sense to you than the single family approach?
Well, on the multifamily approach, being passive, and if you are working, and I had got another corporate job at that time, but I was basically on the highway looking for that off ramp. And with passive investing, I can invest in someone else's deal, and they do all the work. I basically do zero work, and any of the upside, any of the increases in the what it's worth or how much money it makes or anything like that, I get a portion of it. And the lead does well, and I do well, and those usually pay out quarterly. So you can even have almost like this money that's coming in that's paying you. It's not just going to some account that you see on paper, but basically comes right in and you put it into your savings account. And then you start snowballing it for the next deal, and that's what I did.
So where did your initial source of funding come from in order to do these passive deals? Initially,
it was from the IRA that I had. So one of the good things about getting laid off is that your 401k money just get freed up, and you can pull them out of the stock market. And I currently had them in an IRA with, in the stock market. And I say, okay, well, let's just move that. And then that started going successfully. And then once I get past that and I exhausted those funds, I went and did a personal financial statements with one of the Lifestyles mentors, and realized that I had quite a bit of money of equity in my house. I was like, okay, well, I've done this a couple of times. I see the proof. I see that it works. So I refinanced my house, and I did several other deals, and I got up to about 12 deals, 12 passive deals, basically, where I didn't do much work or any of the work. And then once I got up to those, I started to have a couple of refis, and I bought an IRO, and I decided it was time. I found my off-ramp, and I was getting off the highway.
Okay, so tell me what getting off the highway really means.
It means I told the company that I was working for that I was done. Adios, going to work for myself.
That was it. No regrets. You finally got to that point?
Actually, my manager and many of the other managers, when they heard what I was doing, they were like very happy for me. They actually told me, "Don't come back. We hope that you're successful, and it's great that you're able to get out of corporate America and get out of that golden handcuffs."
Yeah, I mean that's got to be really cool. I mean, did any of those guys say, Kelly, what's the secret, man? Share the information with me.
It's interesting. Yeah, I shared my path. Of being able. I've been working here for many years, and I take all the money and I keep on putting in investments. And you share, but I don't know what makes one person take action versus another person stays on the highway. I'm not sure what that is. For me, I can tell you that it was the belief system was shattered with a couple of layoffs, and I just knew that the safety wasn't there for my family. my family was the most important thing for me, and their welfare and being able to support them. And I just perceived the risk to be too high working a corporate job trying to support my family long term.
It sounds like you've got it figured out when it comes to the brass tacks of what's important to you. You're making decisions based on those goals and objectives, and your family is right up there with you. So, yeah, I mean, it can be real disheartening when you think there's some loyalty going back and forth between the organization you're working for, only to find out somewhere in the future that it's like you're expendable. You know, bye-bye. I mean, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's one thing cutting a project that maybe, you're not buying as much equipment or you're not going to do this or that. But when it comes to human beings, that's, I don't know, it just seems different. It should be different. And it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
humans are more expensive, I believe, than just cutting back on projects. So,
that's true. Hey, we're getting ready to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about those multifamily investments. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. All right, let me set the scene for you here. You've done everything that everybody in your life that was important to you told you to do. You went to school, you studied, you got good grades. You got yourself into college. You again studied. You didn't hang out with me because, well, let's not go there. But you studied, you got good grades. And then you went into the workforce. And while in the workforce, you're doing everything that you can to support your organization. You think that loyalty is going both ways. And you're moving along through space and time, trading time for money, and you hit a roadblock. And that roadblock is something called a layoff. Well, it happens to you. It happens to everybody, right? So you get up, you kind of dust yourself off, you get back on that ladder. You start climbing back up that ladder. And then you get to a point in time where the exact same thing that happened to you previously has now occurred again. And now you're starting to wonder, is there a better way? And then one day you're listening to the radio, and you might hear a radio show very similar to the one you're listening to right now that says you ought to go check out a free workshop that Lifestyles Unlimited puts on. They'll teach you something about real estate investing that'll change your life. So you take a chance, and you go into the seminar, and you're skeptical because, you've heard this stuff before. But you get enough good information that leads you to believe that, okay, maybe this one's different, and you become a member. And then you go through the educational program, and you have epiphany after epiphany, and you start putting the information that you learned to work to change the dynamic of your life. Next thing you know, 4 years have gone by. You've invested in 12 multifamily apartment communities that are paying you passive income streams, and now you've actually bought yourself your own apartment community that you own completely by yourself, and you own and you operate that thing. And at that point, you have a massive epiphany. You've regained control of your life again. You don't have to go back to work. You're able to step away from that job because now you've replaced all of that income. So, Kelly, we've gotten to this point in your life. You've got an IRO. Why did you buy that specific IRO? Why not go and buy more passive deals?
It got to the point where I saw the off-ramp. The off-ramp was I knew that I don't know, let's say the layoff may have not come for 20 years, but I knew that path just was not a path that I wanted to continue on. And when I had started with that new company, the whole intention was to continue to invest in passive deals until I could get enough money to where I would be able to replace my salary that was coming in. And I was able to do that with those 12 plus buying an IRO. And when I did that, it was like, okay, I'm done. Guess what? I get to control how much money I make now. If I go in, I do a great job on managing the IRO, the money goes to me. It's not going to go to some corporation. So the better I do, the better the corporation does. And it goes right back to me again. So I basically get off the wheel that way.
So you bought that IRO property. How big was that property when you bought it?
Just 14 units. Very small is all I could afford at the time, to get. And the whole point of it was take it. It was being mismanaged. So basically manage it right. And then and within 2.5 years, basically 3 years, I got out of it. And then I sold that, and then I bought a 27 unit. So basically doubled, and 27 unit in Dallas, which is a much better location and much higher property prices.
Okay, so this 27 unit that you bought to replace the 14 unit, at this point, you've transitioned your business plan a little bit. No longer are you just an independent rental operator. You're now a lead investor, and you're bringing other Lifestyles Unlimited members along with you on this journey. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, and that's one of the great things is I have choices now. I could have taken and stayed in the same area, probably doubled in that same area, and kept as an IRO. Or I could move to Dallas, have a much more expensive price per unit place, but at the same time, if I wanted to do that, I would have to bring others in, basically for the equity. And so I had choices to make, and that choice I thought was the best for me at that time, and actually it's turning out pretty well.
All right, let me take you back to that 14-unit deal, the IRO that you did. Now you said that property had some operational issues. Did it also have some functional issues with the systems of that property, or was the property in pretty good shape?
No, it was very poor shape. One of the sewers pipes to the main sewer was collapsed, and a couple of units, and several of the units had bed bugs, and there was just all kinds of problems in this property that I had to go in and deal with. Took quite a bit of effort of replacing the roof, painting everything, fixing all the wood rot, fix the security issues for the railings because they were so wide a baby could just fall right out of them.
Wow.
On the second floor, things of that nature that when something's just not being managed right, you just find all kinds of issues. And but you go in, you put in the proper items, you fix everything, and you get good residents in there. Things turn around pretty quick.
What was your vacancy like when you took that property over?
Oh, boy, I think occupancy was maybe 25% or so.
Oh, my.
And it was probably lower than that, paying actual people paying. It was very, very low.
So you must have picked this thing up for a pretty good price.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was in a secondary market outside of Dallas, and I'm pretty sure it was about $16,250 per unit.
This thing must have been on triage. I mean, you got the lifelines all going into the property just to try and keep it from evaporating or something.
When you go into something like that when you smell or you see all the bugs and everything, that's just money. That's just bad management. Nobody who wants to pay rent will live in that type of conditions. Now, you will have people that live in those conditions, but they're not going to be paying you rent. They're just going to be causing a lot of problems. So if you want to get something operational that people are able and want to pay rent and live in a nice community, you have to go and fix all of those things. And then from there, basically, it's forced equity. You can't sell it for a lot of money when you have all those issues, but once you fix all those issues, you can sell it for a lot of money.
And sell it for a lot of money. I'm guessing you did, because you actually sold that property, maybe almost a year ago, right in the middle of COVID, right?
Yeah. I sold it right before COVID, which was great timing for me. We actually just started having issues, but I was still people were still paying. I wasn't having any issues as far as people not paying and stuff at my property. And I had identified a new property that I wanted to take over, or basically, go in and try to purchase. And so, it was just fantastic timing. I think I sold that one in June, and I bought my new property in July 31st or something like that.
Wow. That's awesome. Hey, when we come back from the break, I'm going to ask him about the kind of returns he's been getting. You're going to be amazed. Stick around.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. So we're talking with Kelly. He's a Lifestyles Unlimited member. He's been a member for approximately 8 years. Got himself retired right around that 4.5-year sweet spot of being a member. And he hasn't looked back. I mean, he stepped away from corporate America, and now he is doing his own thing, in control of his time, and operating real estate, not letting the real estate operate him. But I think it's very important for us to get into a conversation about what it's like to actually buy that tangible asset, that 14-unit IRO property, the property that's going to, make the big difference. It's going to be the catalyst in your life. Kelly, tell us about that experience. And really what I'm kind of looking for is that overall experience. I know you made a lot of money on this property, and it's up to you if you want to share how much money you made. But I think that there's a lot of tangible benefits that also come with buying property the way you did.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when you try to do what is different than what everybody else does, you're going to get results that are different than what everybody else gets. And that's really hard to do because it's harder to see that path. So, in buying, that was a huge step for me to basically put the responsibility for a large property and be the person that's going to take care of it and increase the value of it, and then from there, I take it and make all those decisions. So, there's quite a few things that go into that make you hesitant, in order to take those steps. But I knew that the road that I was on was just not going to get me where I wanted to go. That belief system of let's save in my 401k and hope and figure out this magic number so that when I retire at whatever that number is, you dwindle down to zero. And in the one of the other epiphanies that I had was with buying this 14-unit or buying my passive properties, the monies that I have with those don't just go and evaporate or go down to zero. They continue to pay on even after my death. So the equation changes from what is this number that I need to get to in order to retire and make that number go down to zero before I die, to what amount of money do I need coming in on an annual basis in order to afford life for my family.
Sounds like you're operating your household as a family business.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it like that. And so that was where the equation for the 14-unit came in. And with the along with the passives that I still have, and along with the active properties that I purchased, along with the 14 unit that I sold, and it was about a 35% year-on-year return on cash basis that I got for it. And just take that and put it into the next property, and then from there, my net worth goes up, my estate goes up, my estate that's going to go to my family when I die goes up. It's not going to be zero. It's going to be some, whatever number that I choose to make it. If I want to make the estate bigger, then I go out and I buy more properties. So I'm the one in control now. It's not someone else that can just come over and knock me off the ladder.
Yeah, it's a cool place to be, isn't it?
It's an odd place to be. It really is. And the one of the things that is very helpful is the lifestyle. So there's a lot of the same like-minded people that think a little differently. And when you go to a meeting or a meetup and you hear, that type of thinking, or you see it and hear it and, observe it, is definitely can be life-changing for people who choose to take and accept it and learn from it.
Hey, are you getting excited for the EXPO?
Yeah. I think it's. I'm really excited because I don't have to go to Houston. I can stay in Dallas and go to it, and I'm super excited because I was like, I don't know how I got so lucky, but my little 27 unit that I purchased and manage is actually going to be on the Masters road trip.
Awesome. Give us a little tidbits about what we're going to see when we come to your property.
Well, I have I'll probably be the smallest property that's on the road trip, 27 units. But I think that's great especially for anybody who's just starting. You can start at 14 units, you can start at 27 units, and still take it, and it's just part of the path, part of the step, taking one step forward and being able to take it, stabilize it, get the cash flow going, get the money out of it, and then from there take that and then go on to the next one. And if you choose to double it, you can double it, and just keep on making step forward after forward. The property that you would have seen if you have seen it before I took it over was a property that was way overgrown on landscaping. One of the first things I had to do was cut back the trees. Just to replace the roof, I had to cut back the trees because basically the trees were messing up the roof by rubbing on the roof and causing, holes and stuff in the roof. So, just to get to be able to see the property, had to cut back all the landscaping. From there, replace the roof that were all leaking into many of the third floor units, and then replaced all the wood rot, repainted, and basically now it's just like a little boutique property that I think anyone in Dallas would want to come and live in.
So when we come to the property, are there any units that have not been renovated that we'd be able to see, or is everything done now?
Well, I'm I went from 100% occupancy, so I took it over at 100%, but the rents were pretty low compared to market value. And so after forcing up rents, I did go down to occupancy, remodeled those, and then I actually just signed my last lease of available unit yesterday. And so I'm back up to 100% occupancy as of today. But I hope that, we always have, a few units that are renewing every month, and I hope to be able to show you guys at least one classic unit, what I call a classic unit. If not, I have pictures, but a classic unit along with a completely renovated unit.
So we're going to get an idea of what the property looked like when we get to the site, because you're going to walk us through the entire property, or you're going to tour us through that property, correct?
Correct, yeah. So we're going to be able to take my expectations would be that we have a renovated unit, and I'm able to put up and show you what that unit looked like before, and then give information as far as what the pre-unit rents for that unit were, and versus once it's remodeled. They're quite. It can be quite drastic. It just depends upon the property, what state it's in. There's quite a few properties that are still out there that what we would call like a value add type of property, which this one was, where you can go in, you remedy all the issues with it, and then from there you're able to get really good tenants that come in and just pay the market price for it.
Man, I'm getting excited to see this property because you've done a lot of work in what, 9 months?
Yeah, and with COVID.
COVID on top of it. Yeah, so it's not like everything was fine and dandy when you started this process. So this is amazing. This is proof positive that if you get focused and you understand your business plan and you get to work on that business plan, you can just get to success as expediently as possible. Yeah.
I think people are their worst enemies when it comes to limiting themselves, and I've had some challenges with it, obviously, but those challenges usually, or actually a lot of times, turn into a benefit. So COVID actually, for this managing this, was somewhat a benefit for me, in that I had to change the way that I would do a contactless tour. So before I would meet people and then take them in and show them the property and stuff. Now I'm able to do everything basically online. Actually, pretty much can do a contactless tour, get everything scheduled, get people the ability to get a key and get into the unit. It's all contactless now. I don't actually have to be there taking and managing the prospect.
Well, Kelly, we're at the end of the show. Man, I wish we had more time, but I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing this property, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of what we do.
Great, thank you.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.